Hello and welcome to the Fallacy Corner. Today we are going to discuss the fallacy called Tu Quoque. Tu Quoque. Tu Quoque is Latin for you too. You too. So you can also call it the you too fallacy. Some people call it the pot's calling the kettle black. You can also call it seafood stalking. Basically, those are indicators about the fallacy. So what does Tu Quoque really mean? Tu Quoque is a fallacy. Sorry. What is a fallacy? A fallacy simply is an error in reasoning. It is a fault in the reasoning process which weakens the strength of an argument. It does not necessarily mean that the conclusion is wrong. It simply means that the reasons or the premises using to support the conclusion, there's a mistake somewhere, and therefore it is not advisable to accept the conclusion as true. Right. The Tu Quoque fallacy then is a fallacy that focuses on the actions of a person instead of the claim. And how does this happen? It happens because of a feature or characteristic of hypocrisy. Usually, when you sense hypocrisy in someone's claim, there is the tendency to dismiss the claim as false or reject the claim as false. What happens is that when someone makes a claim and you hear the claim, if the person's actions are inconsistent with the claim, there's a high tendency to point out the inconsistency in the person's action towards the claim rather than focusing on the claim. When you do reject a claim because of the inconsistency of a person's actions or past actions, then you are committing the Tu Quoque fallacy. The Tu Quoque fallacy then is a fallacy that focuses on the seemingly contradictory nature of a person's action towards a claim that has been made and the person's hypocrisy. Let's take that again. Tu Quoque fallacy is a fallacy that focuses on a person's omission or commission of certain actions that contradict a claim, and therefore the claim is dismissed as not true. Why is this a fallacy? This is a fallacy because a person's actions no way correlates with the truth value of a claim. For example, someone might be a habitual liar. The person is a chronic liar. The person is always lying. But it does not necessarily mean that at every point the person is lying. There might be a claim that is made that might be true, despite the fact that the person is known to be a liar. It doesn't mean that the claim that has been made necessarily is a lie. So there are two issues here: the claim and the person's actions. This is what means the distinction, that a person's actions are not the same as the claim. The claim can be true regardless of how a person's actions affect it. However, if a person is a habitual liar, obviously that's an indicator to be careful because the person is probably lying. But it does not necessarily mean that the claim is false. Let's take some examples. So we have a father and a son, and the father is advising the son that, hey son, smoking is not good for your health. Too much smoking is bad. So do desist from smoking. Then the son responds, but dad, you were smoking yesterday. You see what happened there? The son is pointing out the fact that the father was smoking yesterday, but is now telling him that don't smoke. You see, there's a seemingly contradictory act here on the part of the father. That does not mean that the claim the father made is not true. Let's take a second example. We have Amma and Kofi. Amma tells Kofi that exercising is very good for your health. You need to exercise always. Kofi looks at Amma and says, look at you. You are always lying in bed, lazing about. Look how fat you are. You never exercise. What Kofi is trying to do is to disregard Amma's claim about the benefits of exercising. and rather focusing on the actions and the inconsistency of Ahmed's life towards exercising. That does not mean that exercising is not good. Kofi is simply focusing on a secondary matter which in no way relates to the fact of exercising. Let's go for a third example. A third example would be, let's say you have a president and an ex-president in a debate. And the ex-president tells the current president that, hello, Mr. President, we are currently facing some electricity crisis in the country and that needs to be fixed. Jobs are dwindling because of this and therefore it needs to be tackled. Then the current president responds and said, oh, we had water crisis during your time and it wasn't solved. Now that comment is trying to disregard the claim by pointing out the inconsistency of the ex-president's actions during his time of the water crisis. But this does not mean that there's no electricity crisis now, which the current president has to address. So you see why Tu Quoque fallacy is a terrible fallacy. And this fallacy is a very sly fallacy because people can easily believe a Tu Quoque fallacy as a way of dismissing a claim. But you have to be careful. Just because someone did it to you does not mean that the claim is wrong. So there you have it. I hope Tu Quoque fallacy has been explained to you. So how do you avoid the Tu Quoque fallacy? Instead of just shouting that, hey, you two, try and consider the claim at hand. Swallow your ego a bit because yes, you would want to point out that the person is not acting consistent. But critical thinking requires that you examine the claim. I hope this helps you on the Tu Quoque fallacy. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this video was helpful. And don't forget to share with your friends and family.